To Baloo Gets Knotted, number 3. Today I'm going to show you how to make a Turk's head knot like this one. This is the one we use to make a woggle. Okay, so here we go for the Turk's head knot. So I'm going to use 2 fingers because I've got fairly large hands, but you can use 3 fingers if you've got smaller hands. All depends on how clever you're feeling. So the more fingers you have, the wider the knot is going to be. So I'm going to use 2 fingers to start with. Taking the free end, I'm going to hold it with my thumb and fingers and go round the back of my hand and cross it over. Then coming to the front again and making this up and over, almost like a clove hitch shape at the front of my hand. I'm going to take the free end and I'm going to pass that underneath this part of the X, the outer part of the X. So I'm going to pass it underneath that loop there and pull it through. Like that. This can stay on the side out of the way. I'm going to turn my hand towards me and you'll see the 2 parallel cords running on the back of my fingers. I'm going to take the outer one and I'm going to pass it underneath the inner one. Like that. So the outer one, pass it underneath. So I've made a little loop there. I'm then going to pass the free end through that gap that I've now made. So that will go underneath that. It's very important that you come from underneath and not from over the top. Otherwise the knot is not going to be woven properly. Pull it tight. So we've crossed over and it's come underneath that one and over the top of that one. Now I'm going to follow my hand round to the back again and we're going to take this loop that's now sitting on the outside of the bottom and I'm going to pass this underneath that loop there. And that anchors that off there. And as we pass over this one, you'll notice that this one is the loose one that we started with. And we're going to go up through that same loop that one's through to finish off the first turn of the Turk's head. So it's following side by side and it will sit next to that original strand. So we've gone round, woven under and over, and then we've come back to where we started from through this one here. We're going to do 2 turns on this one to keep it nice and simple, but you can go for 3 or even 4 depending on how long your piece of cord is. So we're going to stop at 2. So this is the first turn finished, and it's a case of following this cord all the way round until we get back to the beginning again. So we're going to go underneath that loop there. And keeping nice and parallel, we're going to follow it round and see where it goes next. So it's going underneath that one there. So we go underneath that one as well. This isn't something you can hurry. You have to do it nice and slowly. I'm hoping you can see that. We're staying nice and parallel and it's coming around the top of my finger. So I'm going to flip my hand so it's coming around there. And now we have to go underneath this loop here. So we come under and through there. Hopefully you can see that. Nice and parallel. And now as we follow round, it's coming underneath this strand here all on its own. So we're going to follow it through and we're going underneath that loop there and pull it through. Just like that. So we've come through, come under that one and over these 2 now. We've come through and we're almost coming to the end of the second turn. So as we come over the top of the hand, you'll notice that there's a single loop there. So we're going to go underneath that single loop and over the 2 other strands like that. So that's making 2 there, and now we're going to come round the other side. We need to chase this to make sure we're following it. So this one, put your finger on it so that you can see which one we're following, and it's this one here, the one that's all on its own. And we're going to look at that one and we're going to come through that loop from underneath, and we're going to pass that one under there. If ever you get lost, just retrace your steps back to the last turn and start again. It's not that difficult. Again, keeping that nice and parallel. That now is going underneath these two and over the next two. So we're doing an under and over. So under those two and through the hole in the middle. Pulling through that way. Keeping it nice and parallel, over the top, and now underneath those two, staying to the side, so keeping it in the same order all the time. So it's got to go under those two together, under those two, and then over the top of those two. And we're coming round again, looking at that loop. We're coming now down to underneath here. So as it comes over the top of this one, it then goes underneath these two. So we're going to pass it through there. And there we are. And we're back to the beginning again. This is the one we started with, if you remember. And this is the one that's coming up to finish. So I'm going to go through that gap just once more. So we're going through that hole, and rather than going underneath these two and over that one, I'm going to take that through to the middle. So just straight through and out like that. Okay. So now we have two strands all the way around the Turk's head, like that. And we have three strands here, which is the start and the finish point. At this point, you can cut the excess off here and either glue it in place or tuck it in under some of the loose strands, which is what I prefer to do, so that I can undo it. But you just tuck them in, and then your necker will go through the middle, and it will anchor your necker on as any other woggle. If you wish to make it smaller, you just tighten these threads and work your way around as you tighten it, and the hole will become smaller in the middle. So there we have the Turk's head knot to make your own woggle that we can examine, and if you like to send photographs to your leader, we can then give you points and badges if you've managed to follow this well. You may need to watch this video several times before you get it. It's not an easy knot to do, but it's quite rewarding when you do get your finished result. So there we go. That's a challenge for you to try and make a Turk's head woggle over the next few weeks. Thank you for watching, and until the next time, we'll be doing 3 more knots. Stay safe and keep on scouting.